Have you ever felt like your team stalled out? It's one of those moments where you look at your team, you're assessing what you're saying, you're assessing what you're recommending, and you think to yourself, wow, I think we've said this 100 times. Should we be moving on? Are we stuck? We refer to that as a plateau. In today's episode, we're going to help you off the plateau. Welcome to the PioneerCast. I'm DeWayne Abels, founder and president of PioneerIQ. I hope over the course of the next few minutes, you're able to pick something up that truly helps you better understand your team in 2024 and enables you to turn right around this afternoon, tonight, tomorrow, whenever it may be, and start to engage them at a different level. We're in the middle of a series that really emphasizes 4 specific mindsets required to grow and to develop and to lead people in 2024. Doesn't matter if you're in the field, doesn't matter in your office, doesn't matter if you're somewhere in between, maybe it's even at home. These 4 mindsets we have discovered is mission critical to your effectiveness as a leader. If you or someone on your team truly wants to better engage people and maximize their potential and get the most out of their team, I'm borderline begging you to get them to a boot camp. At these boot camps, I guarantee you 3 things are going to happen. Number 1, you and the people that you bring from your team are going to come together as a team and gel more so than any other time. Number 2, you're going to help them make life decisions about who they are, what they're great at, and what they could become at home and on your team and at work. And then thirdly, you're going to be able to see into what you could become as a leader, what it means to lead in 2024, and how to maximize the potential of the people around you, both at home and at work. Take the next steps. Go to our website, PioneerQ.com. We've got these all across the country, and sign up. To help us out and to lead us through the mindsets, we've brought in Dan Benton, a relatively new team member here at PioneerQ. Thanks for joining us, Dan.
Thanks for having me.
So in this particular episode, we're covering the mindset shift that gets into a fixed versus a growth mindset. And again, this is one of the 4 that we've really crystallized and are really embedding into a lot of our leadership curriculum. And as we were talking through this several months ago and really starting to finalize some of these pieces of content, I realized that we talk to people all the time. You maybe more than me, these leaders will walk into us and, hey, can you shut the door? And you know, I feel like my team's getting stagnant. I feel like we're just kind of going back to what's always worked. I feel like we've just lost track of what the market wants. This is really hard. You look at one of these leaders and you say to them, is it your team or is it you? And oftentimes it's just the mindset that a lot of leaders are working from because efficiency is such a demand in our marketplace. Margins are small, risk is high, efficiency is number 1. Shouldn't be, but it is, right?
Every day.
Every day. So walk us through this particular mindset, because I guarantee you people are going to, oh gosh, that mindset, I know that one, right? But walk us through what we mean by that particular mindset of fixed versus growth.
Yeah, so I'm going to start with the mindset of the leader as a growth mindset leader. And I know everybody's heard of a growth mindset, but it's letting go of your power, right? And this is really difficult because that's your comfort space, right? If I'm the leader in the room, I should be the hero, right? It's natural. It's human nature to want to be the hero as a leader, but you've got to let go of some of that. You've got to empower your team, right? We're going to talk through multiple portions of this, of how you connect and appreciate your team and their contribution, their individual impact we talked to in our last episode, but more importantly, letting go of the way you've always done it, or guided collaboration, led collaboration. I love collaboration. Far too often collaboration in the world today means, hey, we just let everybody control everything. That's dangerous, especially in our industry, right? Yeah. But guided collaboration where you empower your team is a great starting point, right? You got to let go of some of what has always made you successful, because that may not be the equation for success today.
I'll tell you what, just probably in the last 2 weeks alone, I have heard at least 3 or 4 associates in engineering firms, different engineering firms, literally say, yeah, we're kind of waiting on him or her to, head on out. And I'm like, what? And we hear this a lot. Like, we don't say this very often, but we hear it all the time. Yeah, we would, but so-and-so is not really down with that idea, right? So we run into this all the time. And it's amazing to me because it seems that they're going back to a fixed mindset. Is that what you're saying?
100%.
Okay,
Yep.
Got it.
That, or they see the opportunity. They don't see the opportunity. They see the barrier.
Yeah.
Right. Because they're risk adverse, right? So because of where they've grown up in the organization or building the company, right? We work through a lot of this with multiple generations of leaders in an organization where the founders, even the second generation, are really risk adverse. They just see the barrier. They don't see the opportunity, the path around it.
Yeah, boy, you just had a great point there. So crystallizing that in my mind, the barrier should be about how we better deliver or serve our clients. The barrier should never be the manager or the executive, the owner that's in charge of the team that's preventing us from being able to do it that way, the right way, or a new way.
Yeah, but far too often that leader that we're waiting for them to exit or whatever the case may be just lives in a fixed mindset because they're not open to the possibility of change or a different way of approaching whatever it may be.
You know, it's easy to go, yeah, it's because that so-and-so's been here for 40 years. You know, you kind of think, but honestly, I hear this with teams that have very young executives or young leaders as well. You know, I think sometimes the barrier is the way that we've always done it because that's someone, you know, just isn't accepting of something that's new. But that barrier for a young person who's in that management or executive or team lead role could just be purely out of fear.
100%. Yeah, fear that, you know, the lack of confidence just in your role as a young leader sometimes can cause a fixed mindset because a growth mindset, you have to consider all possibilities, right?
Well, I'm off script a little bit here, but it completely reminds me of the July boot camp where the executive stood up who was probably, 60, 61, and he was telling us about how excited he is within this new job opportunity, this new company that he had recently taken. And I looked at him and I said, well, what are you nervous about? Because you could sense that. You were sitting right next to him.
Right.
And he goes, man, I just don't want to screw this up. I just don't want to disappoint him. Right. And I think, you know, as people who are on teams, you know, there's a lot of stuff going through the head of the leader that's in charge of that team that kind of gets back to, I just don't want to screw up the team or anybody else or this opportunity. Maybe it's not just I don't want to.
Yeah, I talk to leaders all the time around the best thing you can do as a leader is to be as transparent as possible.
Yeah.
Right? To be as honest and real, genuine, and transparent as possible. It's the fastest way to build trust, right? And that's the way you get collective participation, engagement, and get your team's honest contribution and, you know, they're where they can truly benefit your team.
What else on this particular mindset is important for a team leader or a manager or an executive to consider making that shift to a growth mindset, not fixed?
To be the best version of yourself as a leader, you're always on a perpetual journey. You never arrive. So if you think you've arrived and you don't need to learn and grow as a leader, the whole world's passing you by.
Yeah.
So you are on a perpetual journey. The second biggest factor I would give you in that is that remember that every great leader in history, it doesn't matter what you're talking about, whether you're talking about the business world, athletics, politics, government, whatever it may be, every great leader in history failed at some point in time in their life, right? Take Michael Jordan, for example. He was kicked off his high school basketball team. Now the guy makes like $6.8 million a day just on Nike shoes. That's mailbox money, right? And he was kicked off his high school basketball team. There's examples and examples of that time and time again where if they were at a fixed mindset, it would have been a barrier. But that fail point just became an opportunity, right? It drove them to something greater.
Yeah. I've been looking at a new pair of Jordans. I realized looking at them the other day, shopping with the three boys. I had that same pair of shoes in 1997.
100%.
I'm like, bro, that's cool now. I was busting them out almost 30 years ago.
It's all coming back around, man.
Right. But no, it's a great point. The perpetual, how did you say it?
Perpetual growth journey.
Yeah. So one thing that's really interesting that we've learned over the last 3 years is the speed of cycles, right? And so we went back and studied leaders that based their leadership or their term of a leader, their tenure of a leader on a knowledge or a solution or a finding. And they rode that wave. That's not even an option anymore. People are cycling through data and new solutions so fast that you just constantly have to be in front of what's going to work next.
Yeah, you have to be preparing yourself and your leaders for tomorrow, right? If you're just tracking for today, you're already getting eclipsed, right? There's so much change in our society right now. In fact, we'll see 20,000 years worth of change. If you look at change over the linear time schedule in this 100 years, 20,000 years worth of change.
Yeah.
So you have to be preparing yourself and your team and your firm for the future, not for today.
Yeah.
Because if you're preparing for today, you're already behind the curve.
Yeah, no doubt. So one really simple suggestion, if you feel like you may be the cause of what we refer to as the Pioneer Plateau, but if you seem to feel like you may be the cause of your team stalling in any area, here's the best thing you can ask them. What am I missing? What am I not seeing? What have y'all seen that I haven't been on board with? But open the box. Just get past how you feel about it and get into the tough questions. You know, Pioneer IQ has as a guiding principle says, we are smarter than me. 100%. I swear to God, they put that in there for me, right? You're laughing. You know it's true. But it's played out all the time. It's just get past it. You're the leader. You don't have to know all the freaking answers. Your team probably does. And if they don't, your clients do, right?
Ask the question.
Just ask the question. But it takes courage, right? Simple mindset shift. Ask yourself if you're the barrier. Am I fixed on something that I can't get past? Or am I willing to see, accept, explore other options and other ways of doing things? It takes a lot of courage.
100%. But understand, your teams don't know that you're not an expert in everything.
Right.
You may want to be, you may try to be, but you're not an expert in everything. So empower your team. Allow them to help create the solution because they'll bring you things that you wouldn't have thought about.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Lean into your strengths.
Yep.
Be clear and transparent and honest, and your team will do work for you.
We're trying to cut these in a way that it's very simple for you to go back and implement things in conversation. We're kind of covering a lot of topics here, but we're trying to do it in a way that easily allows you to share the podcast, the video cast with your team. If this is something that's important to you, if you've picked something up, if you want to share it, please do share it, subscribe, and make sure that you're using this as a tool for you to better yourself and your team. Heck, use us as your excuse to change, whatever it takes. But everybody wants you to be the best version of you because that's what they need. That's what your teams need. Your team needs is to challenge yourself and to challenge them on new and better ways to serve the people that are asking you to help them. It takes a lot of courage. Until then, lead on.